Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my May 2020 TBR. So I'm just kind of throwing this together pretty quickly because I was really thinking about doing a month where I didn't even do a TBR, except that there are so many readathons and read-alongs that I want to kind of participate in. So what I've done is instead I have only picked 3 books that are for sure books I want to prioritize. One of them is for a read-along. One I want to do for a readathon, and then the other book is a book borrowed from my dad that I know he's already asked me, and I've only had the book like less than a week, and he's already asked me if I've read it. So I might need to read that a little sooner rather than later. So I'm going to tell you about the first 3 books and those readathons and read-alongs, and then the last half of this I will talk about the third one, where is all the possibilities, and I have no idea what I'm going to pick up for those 2 weeks. So the first thing is Katie at Books and Things and Marissa at Blake and Lee Bookish is doing a read-along of The Odd Women by George Gissing. So I think this was late Victorian period. I'm not sure, 1890s I think. I forgot to look at the date, but they're doing a read-along from May 1st to the 16th, and you read 2 chapters a day every day except for the last day will only be a chapter. So it's just over 2 weeks. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while. It's about the odd women, means women who are not married and are at loose ends kind of thing. So this is supposed to be really, really interesting and you know, thought-provoking and stuff. And I've really wanted to try George Gissing for the last couple of years since I saw Katie talk about a couple of his books. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm not great at reading a few chapters here and there, but I'm going to give it a shot because I want to read that book. So the other readathon that I want to participate in is one I've done several times now, which is Tome Topple, which is put on by Sam at Thoughts on Tomes. Oh, I will have everybody's announcement videos listed below with the readathon information, or you know, where you can get that. So I've decided my over 500 page book that I want to tackle is The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel. I got this at my library the day before they shut down. I had got it on hold. My hold had come through. So this is book 3 of the Thomas Cromwell trilogy. I read Wolf Hall in January, Bring Up the Bodies in February, and then I got this like near the end of March when they shut down the libraries. So I was really ecstatic that I got it, and then of course I spent April pretty much rereading everything. So I'm hoping to get to this. This one is about 750 pages. So it's a pretty good size one, but I figure if I at least just have this as the one I read for Tome Topple, that's good enough for me. I know people will try to read more than that, and I have done 2 in a 2-week time period. So this is going from May 7th through the 22nd. So I have those 2 weeks to read this. So we'll see what happens. As I said, I do want to pick this up, at least get it started during Tome Topple, if not finish it. It's just, I want to get done this month, even though the libraries are still closed, but I want to get it done. I have it. And I want to know what, I mean, I know what happens, but I mean, I want to see how she wraps things, how she tells the rest of Thomas Cromwell's series, life. And then the third book that is for sure on my TBR is Furious Hours, The Murder, Fraud, and the Last Trial of Harper Lee by Casey Sepp. So I got, my dad got this at the library book sale that we went to in February. So he was reading it off and on, and then, you know, everything. So he finally finished it and he let me borrow it. I've been looking forward to reading this. This is a book that I wanted to read, but I was going to get it from the library. I just didn't get around to it, and it was still pretty new, so I didn't want to. I think it came out last year. So I've heard mixed things about this. It's about 3 sections. It's kind of, one section is about Harper Lee. Another section is about the murder, which is and the fraud, where a reverend in, I think it's Louisiana, in the 1970s, I think he kills off some of his family for insurance money, and then it's his trial. And I think those are the 3 parts. I'm not sure, but anyway, I hear it's kind of split up that way. So we'll see what happens. I've heard mixed things about this, but it is a book my dad read he wants to talk about it. He borrowed my To Kill a Mockingbird after he brought this to me when I saw him like for like 20 minutes when my parents showed up like last week we were switching out the lawnmowers. Our lawnmower broke. Anyway, so we borrowed their lawnmower for a little while. Anyway, so those are the 3 that are for sure on my TBR. So the next section here is just really quickly, I'm going to go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 books that I have that are tentatively books that I would like to choose from, mood reading wise, for SpringAthon. So I was really excited to see this Readathon being put on by, my brain just, Natalie at The Curious Reader and Emma at Cup of Books. So, I don't know what I want to read. I don't know. It starts May 4th and it runs to the 17th. So it kind of overlaps with Tome Topple. So we'll see how I feel about, I might wait to start Tome Topple when I finish whatever books I pick up for SpringAthon. We'll see. I don't know. I might pick up, I might be reading 2 at once. I don't know. We'll see. My reading's going to be really weird because I'll also be reading the George Gissing for the first 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks of the month. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm just going to run through these. I'm not going to say really to what prompts they go to because they're just all nature ones that if I do know what prompt, I'll say it, but yeah, I don't know. These are all just ones on my things. So if you guys like any of these a lot, let me know and say that's the one I should pick up because they're all on my TBR. They're all ones I own. They're all ones I want to read. I just don't know what I'm going to pick up first. So one for animal is Other Minds, The Octopus, the Sea, and the Deep Origins of Consciousness by Peter Godfrey Smith. I bought this around the same time I bought The Soul of an Octopus by Simon Montgomery, which I really recommend. So I kind of want to get to this. I know it's a little slightly different. It's talking about, you know, consciousness in them, but I still think it's related. I've had it on my shelf for a couple years now. I'd like to read it. This is a funny one. It's called Norwegian Wood, Chopping, Stacking, and Drying Wood the Scandinavian Way by Lars Midting. So I don't know anything about this. I actually bought this for my dad, but I forgot to give it to him. I just kind of kept it to read it myself first, I guess. I figure I'll give it to him after it. So it's just, it has like things about nature and about wood cutting. And I go, no, it's not quite nature in a good way, but you know, I don't know. It just sounded funny. I don't know. Maybe I'll get to that. I just got, I think month before last, is A Sting in the Tail by Dave Goulson. I've heard a lot of good things about his nature writing. This is again about bees, and I just kind of thought I'd give it a shot. I don't know, it's a cute little cover. Anyway, and then I think this one, then so that was for, you know, animals as well, because it's bees. Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. I've not read this one yet, and this is, I thought this was travel because it's nature, you know, trying to climb Everest, and it all goes wrong. So I thought that was pretty extreme. I also have The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Wollebem. I don't know how to say his name. Translated by Jane Billinghurst. I don't remember what it's translated from. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. It didn't say. But it talks about trees, and so that's another prompt. Plants, trees, whatever. I don't remember. Was it trees and plants? Or plant? I don't know. And then I also have The Forest Unseen, A Year's Watch in Nature by David George Haskell, which again is another one that I've heard a lot about. And it's talking about him looking at a certain, like a grid, like I think it's an acre of, I don't know, maybe it's a different size. I don't remember what the size is, but he only looks at everything inside, what happens in that area during the year, so all year round. So sounds really good. And then I have a couple other memoirs. I have Out of Africa by Karen Billix, and I can't remember her pseudonym. Anyway, so again, it's talking about being in Africa, and the reason I picked this is because it's an area, it's a place I've never been, and I don't know a whole lot about that, and I was assuming we're going to get a lot of descriptions of Africa in that area. Where did she go? I can't even remember where. I know she's from Denmark, but I don't remember what part of Africa. It's went out of my head. Anyway, another one of those. And then the last one is one I just got, which is Waterfalls of Stars by Roxanne Alexander, My 10 Years on the Island of Skomer. So I've heard a lot about this on BookTube, and again, it's a memoir of being isolated on an island, being a guardian to this island off of the UK somewhere, and talking about, you know, nature and stuff that they have to do there, and being stuck there for that long with little, I don't mean not as much human interaction. So anyway, those are all the books those 8 are the ones that I have. Those are ones I have to choose from. So if you've read any of them or think any of those I should pick up sooner rather than the other ones, and so those will be, I'm going to pick hopefully 2 of them. I might pick more of them, matters how fast I'm reading at the time if I'm not rereading. So I don't have any of those on audiobook though, so maybe I'll get an audiobook one. I might do something also, I don't know. But these are the 3 that I am planning to for sure read, which is The Mirror and the Light, Furious Hours, and The Odd Women. So what are you guys reading for May? Are you guys taking part in any 3 of these readathons? I'm kind of too excited. Again, I wasn't going to do this to myself, but I did it anyway. But we'll see. I try to do it loosely by only picking 3 for sure, and the rest is kind of just mood reading. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see what happens. And it's amazing that it's May tomorrow. I just can't get over it. Anyway, so that's it. Let me know what you're reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.